Welcome back to the Nose Plays Endless Space 2. So we're picking up our game of United Empire that we started a while back, and we left the state of the game in a bit of a cliffhanger. We had just finished taking over some Valter territory and signed a truce with them, only to have a bunch of pirates and a minor faction quest put a bunch of unfriendly military units in our space. And we were just about ready to deal with that problem. So, we're going to pick that up. I have my fleet that I'm quickly putting together of 4 attacker class vessels with a hero to take on this plague of pirates, as well as this minor civ faction of bandits that spawned and we have to take care of to gain their support and trust. So we're working on that. Potentially in the next few turns we should have completely conquered this territory. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 systems in this region, possibly a 6th, as Spica has some Jadonics and look like it might be an okay system. But also important to keep an eye on, we have a colony ship over here, and this was an incredibly rich system that we wanted to get colonized as quickly as possible. It already has Jadonics and Titanium, but it also has a 2nd Titanium, a Hyperium, 2 positive anomalies. This is just a really good system. Now, the fact that these 2 anomalies have been uncovered has me a little worried that somebody else has scouted that, because as I recall from earlier, when we scouted this, these anomalies were still hidden with our probe. We didn't get a ship over there to uncover them. So that's where we're at. Hopefully we can get down and get that going before anyone else. Law-wise, we have the New Colony Act running because we are working on this. We're going to continue to let that run while we colonize that system as well. And let's take a look at our fleet. So I've already produced several of these ships, but we went ahead and we designed some pretty decent ships. These ones are going to be primarily effective at medium range. In fact, if we go to the Corvette and we edit it, I spec'd it basically to outperform ships that are carrying kinetics and missiles. And so the way that these ships work, they have a single flat cannon to repel the vast majority of missiles that will be incoming. Flat cannons are incredibly powerful against missiles unless they're massed. So unless I'm fighting ships that have like 3 slots of missiles, which is unlikely against pirates or AI fleets, a single flat cannon's probably enough defense. We have hull plating just in case any missiles do get through. And then in order to counter the effectiveness of their kinetics, we're taking laser cannons. So these laser cannons will outperform kinetics at long range and at medium range. And hopefully by the time we close to medium range, we've pretty much dealt with some of their fleet and we'll be able to clear the rest of them off with superior firepower. So that's what the plan is. Most pirate fleets work off of kinetics and missiles. Some pirate fleets will have energy weapons, so you have to keep an eye on them. I'm pretty sure that I noticed that they were running kinetics earlier when we saw them over here, and so that's why I went ahead and spec the way I did. Okay, so before we begin, I am going to go ahead and enable my turn timers that I've been using. So this is going to keep us on track for the rest of the game. And that will take effect during turn 41. We want to make sure to turn it off before the very last turn so that when I reload the game for the next part of the series, we get to open up with no turn timers. Anything else that we need to look at? Research-wise, we had several things going on. I went ahead and I queued up these two researches, mainly because I wanted to unlock this next tier, and also because we're working towards potentially getting Arctic worlds, which we need. I believe Arctic worlds was the one we needed. This is desert and arid. No, it was this system, right? Yes, Arctic, so that we could start farming adamantium. That was why I wanted Arctic. It looks like desert's going to be important as well, but we can get on the arid pretty early, and it does have a positive anomaly, so it makes this a little bit better than a normal arid planet. The small desert also has a positive anomaly, but it's a small planet, so population is minimal. Alright. Go ahead and end our turn, and that puts us into... Okay, so we have a little bit of a problem. It's not a big problem, but it appears that we're going to lose the science party, potentially. There are three parties that have more approval or more support than the science party. That's unfortunate because that science law is one of the more powerful ones that we can run. I think it makes sense to keep the support on the industrialist because we definitely don't want to lose our industrialist law, as not only is it helping us colonize our outposts faster, but it's also part of our quest that we unlocked earlier to run a bunch of industrialist laws, so we'll see what happens. And the pacifist laws. I'm not a big fan of the pacifists, but we'll make do. The fact that we're not going to be running as many laws probably means that we're going to be stockpiling a lot more influence, which means we can be spending that influence on other things. We did get brains over bucks, and we do have the Mineral Misers Act, which is actually not terrible, but it is a little bit expensive. So we're not going to be able to run that, at least right away. Our truce with the Vultures has ended, so we are back to Cold War, which means this is a good time to get our military going. We may be sending that military over to deal with the Vultures soon, and maybe try to take them out of the game, but we got to deal with our home system area first. That was our science law that fell off. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this ship out. Get these ships merged. And get this guy over here. Before we go, let's shoot out another probe. Well, that sucks. I should have paid a little bit more attention to how much movement we had. Okay. We made it here. The ocean system had the most food, so that's the one we want to colonize. And we definitely want to pay the extra to double the food output of this system. I might even consider paying the extra to get these, but I'm hesitant to do that because these ships are very likely going to get blockaded. What is this? Ships from an unknown empire. I'm not sure where these came from. They may be part of a quest that the Vultures or somebody else unlocked. I don't rightly know. But we do have a jump start on getting this system. We got the best planet for colonizing quickly, so we'll see if that happens. Alright, what else do we need to get done this turn? Anything? Let's take a look at all of our systems. Approval is really taking a hit, and we are actually going to be losing population over time. This is because we have food going to an outpost, and maybe even multiple ships going to an outpost. Losing a population in 37 turns is probably fine. We're not going to take 37 turns to get those done, so we'll let that ride as it is. An unknown empire has achieved 3,000 manpower. And we have a new quest. +2 resource generation on strategics, or -10% on system development cost. Both of these are pretty good. This would help us conserve our Jadonics if we were able to use it in the next 10 turns. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Let's take a look. Trader's Reach is going to be completed in 4. This system is going to be completed in 9, and probably less than 9. And this system is going to be grabbed hopefully as soon as we take care of this fleet over here. So I think we're going to go ahead and grab this and see if we can't reduce the cost of our Jadonics upgrades on our system development. Assign a hero of at least level 5 on the Akuma, Kochab, and Hadar systems. Reach 60 approval in these systems. Well, we don't have the number of heroes we need to get this done, and definitely not at that level yet. Getting 60 approval on these systems will happen pretty much on its own, because of the approval bonuses that we're going to get when we get these colonizations done. Each one is going to give us 25 approval for 5 turns, so we'll go ahead and do that one. I think that'll work. Speaking of levels, we are actually now at level 5, I believe. Next turn we'll get the tier 2 abilities. Yep, level 5. So we have one of the heroes we need for that. Alright. This ship has a probe that we can send off. And I believe now might be a good time to edit this guy. Actually, we're probably going to want to wait a turn. But I do think I don't think having more guns is really all that useful on this ship. I think we're going to upgrade our probes and we're going to upgrade our engines. I'm going to go ahead and wait until we get the engines unlocked before we worry about it, though. Alright, here we go. Combat time. We've been waiting for this for a while. So my fleet of 5 against their fleet of 2. We definitely want to use a long-range tactic, and for some reason I thought I had upgraded this to better tactics, but it appears that I have not, so we're going to go ahead and just use Revive and Rebuild. Barrage Fire is my preferred tactic at long range at this point in the game. And we'll go ahead and watch this battle. just to see how we fare. So they're going to increase their defenses against long-range attacks, which is fine. They'll reduce a little bit more damage than they normally would during that first part of the engagement. Let's go to the overview camera. Alright, so there's our hero ship. This gives me a little bit better view. Of the battle. And you can see we're dealing pretty solid damage in this opening long-range phase, while they're dealing very minimal damage to any of our ships because their missiles are ineffective at this with our flak defenses as they are. You can also see that our ships are mostly focusing fire. Our hero is actually not, which is where that little bit of extra damage was coming from. But now that we're in medium range, that health bar disappeared very quickly. And that is pretty much going to be the story with all of these pirates. So if we take a look at the advanced menu here, we can see that they were very ineffective. It doesn't even look like they had missiles on that fleet, which is fine. We're not going to be able to watch a lot of these battles with these turn timers because it just takes too much of the turn to do so. So we're going to go ahead, and now that we know what that's going to look like, and that was actually a mistake on my part, we should not have gone in with Turtle. Notice we took a lot more damage to our hero ship because of that. Let's go ahead and jump in here real quick and swap out barrage fire. Or swap in barrage fire, I should say. This gives me an option of a long, medium, and a short range tactic for my primary fleet or flotilla. And this objective has already been achieved, so we got the PEV scale accelerators, which was our random tech. That's cool. That was one I think we actually wanted because it colonizes arid planets and we needed that. So that worked out well for us. It also unlocked this, which we were working on anyways. But we'll go ahead and grab this next. So we got a lot done there in one turn technology-wise. And we'll continue working on neural robotics so that we can start mining these. No, this system. We can now colonize this planet, which we want to do soon. Probably as soon as Traders Reach is done, which is going to be in 2 turns. So let's get a settler up in 1 turn. Oh, before we can even do that though, I just realized we can't get there. Yeah, we can't even get over here because we have not unlocked baryonic shielding, which needs to probably be done first now. So 2 turns to get that done. We can just buy this one out, but it might be better if we just buy this out. Where do I do that at? Baryonic shielding, we can't. 692. Okay. So we blockaded them.
Do you really wish to push us to the breaking point?
They don't like the fact that we blockaded them. What in the world? How did that ship leave? Okay, these ships should not have been allowed to leave. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but research-wise, we should be able to buy this out now, which we did. And we should be able to create that settler. We won't be able to move it till next turn because even though we bought it out, it hasn't actually been unlocked, which is unfortunate. We'll wait a turn. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with this. I can't outrun his fleet to get over here, so I think we're just going to blockade and hope that he comes back because his movement is extremely high. And that pop-up kind of prevented me from attacking them as quickly as I wanted to, which is unfortunate. So most of our corvettes are stocked with manpower, but not all of them. Let's try that again. Alright, we should be able to travel over here now. Yes. So far, so good. Neural robotics is going to be important. We're also going to want to grab one of these two techs because we do want to unlock the ability to do something useful when we don't have any other buildings to build. I'm not sure what to do with my fleet here. I'm a little torn. We have uncovered or removed the pirates, so this was definitely my next goal. I guess we'll wait one more turn and see if they turn back around. Hopefully they do. We did have something that we wanted to do with you. Send that out that way. And that was edit the design for our patrol ships. So better engines and better probes. What kind of probes? These ones have a relatively short cooldown and you can carry 3 of them at a time. These ones have a super short cooldown, but you can only carry 2 at a time. I think these are better for most scenarios, and I'm not going to really mess with upgrading any of the other stuff since this ship isn't going to be used for much else. But it does give me the option to send out some more probes. So we got one going that way already. One that way, so one that way. Alright. That should be good for that. And go ahead and end the turn. So we are running at a deficit money-wise right now, which is unfortunate. Xeno-industrial infrastructure is important. This is important. Public-private partnerships is important. Buying out xeno-industrial infrastructure is pretty good if you have this planet colonized. The Terran. That's interesting. It's only temperate. It's not fertile. But this planet is fertile. I don't think I'm going to buy any of those out. So we're just going to let that go. New population collection bonus. That's good. Adamantium. We're going to have access to that very soon. Not really sure if any of these are super preferable. I think we're going to wait. Go ahead and move our ships, and they traveled this direction. So now they're going to come over here next. How many turns is that going to take them? Less than 2. This is frustrating because trying to run them down is going to be difficult. What we could do is go ahead and upgrade our engines, which I think is worthwhile, and then upgrade his ship, engines, and probes. And the cost of this is too much, so we need to quickly sell some things. We could sell... That'll work. Alright, a little bit slow on that. But this time, they should not be able to get away from us. Go ahead and colonize that. That brings in more Jadonics income. We're definitely going to spend the money on that. And we'll see how it goes from there. We've discovered the sowers. We'll do one more. That'll put us over the halfway mark, which will at the very least get us some stuff. Looks like we've also met the green player over here. And since we've met the green player, do I want to go ahead and fly over there? I think I do. I want to start exploring this constellation here and see what we're dealing with. So this should complete that quest, which will give us this system. Assuming that we pick the right battle tactic this time and don't blow it. Anything else we need to do? Not that I can think of. One technology that we're definitely going to be needing soon is this one. We're going to start a war with the Vultures again. Having more ships in a flotilla will be nice. And it will also allow us to use tanks in our ground invasions, which are much better against infantry-based forces, so that's what we want to do. Alright, let's go ahead and get this fight started. And I want want to do barrage fire more than likely. Yep, because they're running projectiles. Although it looks like they're running a lot of missiles. In fact, they're running exclusively missiles, which means maybe we do want to go short range. Yeah, I think we do. With exclusively missiles, long range is going to be a bad tactic for us. We may actually have the wrong types of ships for this, but we'll watch and see. This is one I do want to watch. I'm going to speed up the battle. Okay. So we're going to go overview. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this up to see how we do here. So we're going to open at long range. We're moderately effective at long range. I don't see their missiles. That's interesting. Okay, well, the objective's been achieved. Looks like we're having some glitches in the battle sequences where we're not seeing some of the animations play. Missiles are not showing up. I did see that in the forums that other players were having this trouble. I wasn't having this trouble, but I did recently upgrade my graphics drivers, so I have a feeling that the upgraded graphics drivers are causing the issue. Fortunately, we don't plan on watching a lot of the fights with the turret timers on. That went much better than I expected it to. They were equipped with missiles. We did have flak defense, but apparently we had enough to get through that fight without alright. 25% capacity on Empire. Shield absorption on fleet. Yeah, I don't know if any of these are all that great. I guess we'll take this one. I've never used it before. I don't know that it's going to be super important to our goals, but we have now dominated this system entirely. Alright, so 20% food converted to dust for a while, or 15% star system trade value. We don't have any star system trade value, and we are in a dust shortage, so this makes sense for the time being. Also, we got a fleet of ships. This fleet is not going to be particularly useful to us because we can't upgrade or edit them in any ways. We don't have any immediate threats in this system where they can quickly respond to. And so one thing I'm tempted to do is go ahead and recoup the manpower from these ships and the dust. That's going to immediately put 600 manpower in our pool, which will fill up most of our current ships, and give us a bunch of dust. We can then produce our own ships, which are going to be better than these. Giving up the sword, which is a medium class ship, is kind of doesn't feel great, but we can't afford to have this many ships long term anyways, at least at this point in the game, and particularly ones that they're costing us a lot of dust per turn, but they're not actually doing anything useful like this fleet would be. This fleet we're going to be able to send over here and do something with in a relatively timely fashion because the movement speed we can increase through better engines. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and scrap that fleet. Notice that we just grabbed 600 manpower into our global pool. That's going to be pulled out over the next several turns. We're also going to get neural robotics done in a turn. And then I want to move this to the front of the queue so that we can build one more invasion ship. One more invader ship. We need to edit the ship design for better engines so that it can keep up with our fleet. And we'll go ahead and get these guys paid off. Make one more of those.
What is your objective?
Oh wow, that was fast. Okay, we got this one colonized. We definitely need to get that. Followed by that, which I am going to go ahead and buy out, I think. Followed by that, followed by that. Yeah, we just got a lot of stuff that needs to get done.
What is your objective? Maybe if you were more
Alright, they
do you
closed
really
our borders.
wish to push us to the breaking point?
They're acting aggressive towards us again, probably because we forward settled them. Which is fine. They're going to have to deal with the fact that my fleet is coming for them. Alright, so 1 turn, 2 turns till we get autonomous construction, and we can group all of these guys together into a single fleet. Let's get predictive logistics out here, and in fact move that ahead. Anything else? Got some probes. There's not much territory left to scout here. I've uncovered just about everything. Alright, we got curiosities over here. We can search for these guys. And then we can get on our way. Titanium. A new quest objective. Not sure that we want to spend this right now. That's a lot of resources for 100 deciduous trees. Just go ahead and put him on silent for a moment. And let's think about if there's anything else we need to do. So we have our technologies figured out. We do need to do something over here. As soon as we can colonize that, we need to. Moving right along. Got spin projects up to get a little bit more influence, which we need. Got our invaders up. And we managed to get all of those system developments purchased while the cost was cheaper, so that was good. That saved us on some Jadonics. Alright, so we have this group, which next turn we can merge these fleets together because we'll increase our cap to 7. So we're gonna have to wait one more turn. And this building definitely needs to be near the top of the queue. Maybe right there. Alright. Got a lot going on here, but this system's going to be incredibly powerful once we get it up and running. We never did talk to these guys. I think it's time to go ahead and get them up so we can start collecting manpower and stuff from them as well. Go ahead and end the turn. And so I think, as you can already see, you know, we're approaching the mid game now. Turn 50 and beyond is pretty much mid game. Turn 100 and on is late game, and that's pretty much where the game ends. Sometime between turn 100 and 150, even on endless for most players, you pretty much locked up the game and can win. So entering the mid game, we had a really rough, or a moderately rough start with an enemy settling right next to us, a core set of worlds that were not particularly ideal, and yet look what we've managed to accomplish. And we're going to get this system up here soon. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7 systems by turn 50. Some of them are pretty powerful, and this is a really nice core set of worlds that we can use to slingshot us into the mid to late game. We finally hit level 6 with this guy, so let's take a look. Trading companies are going to be something we're going to be looking at investing in as we approach this part of the game. 30 science on system is not bad at all. More industry I don't think we really need. You can always use more industry, but we don't have a lot of sterile systems where he's located. The approval is another thing that we could definitely potentially use. So let's take a look at our approval. Right now we're doing really well on approval, and that's because we grabbed a whole bunch of systems, one right after the next, and those bonuses stack. So we have plus 50 currently from recently colonized systems. Each time we get another one, that goes up by 25, but they're relatively short in duration. They only last 5 turns, so these will fall off over time. We're at 6 of 8 total that we can continue to colonize before we start to hit penalties. And remember, because we are expansionists, we do receive a slightly lower penalty to over-colonization than other factions. So over-colonization is not going to be a big deal for us. I think we can completely take over this constellation and still be able to handle our approval. That being said, I took a lot of time. I think we're going to go ahead and grab the science. Our science is not particularly fantastic right now, and we're not building science buildings to help that out. So we need to start remedying that. Alright, this is probably fine for now. Because the borders are closed, we're going to have some trouble moving around here. We do have some population on anomalies, so this building's starting to look a little bit more useful. And this building is actually more useful because we have 2 strategics. So the mining buildings are almost always beneficial if you have at least 2 strategics. And that's because the upkeep cost of the mining building is only 8 dust, and the ability to sell the 2 strategics on the market is going to be more than 8 dust. So even if it does put you at a negative on your dust up here for a while, you're going to be able to go in and sell those at a much higher rate than you're spending each turn. It's not really that critical because we are doing so well on our mining currently, but it doesn't hurt. You can't really have too much of it. I guess technology-wise, we need to make sure that we've got things figured out. We talked about solving our dust issues by getting some trading companies up, which I think makes sense. So that might be the next technology that we dive into. And 30 science that we picked up is a little bit more than 5% of our total. So I guess that was the right call. Law-wise. Yeah, there's really nothing that we really need to worry about. We'll just keep rolling. I can't believe how quickly this system actually became a colony. That was pretty amazing. Let's burn through these real quick. Definitely get that up. Definitely colonize both of these, starting with that one. And there are no anomalies here, so we're gonna leave it at that. Pistis. Academy. We could assist these guys, or we could continue to praise them. I think I'm going to hold off on assisting them with a quest right now because we're going to be focusing on a war over here. We'll just go ahead and go with the +10 influence per turn for now.
For your deeds, a special place in the void awaits you.
Your expansive tendencies force our hand, so they're getting aggressive with us as well. This is unfortunate. I don't know how they think that we're expanding into their territory, per se. Maybe it's because we've gained favor with these guys? I don't know. One thing that we could use is a patrol ship. A new patrol ship in our home territory to uncover some of the curiosities that have popped up would be nice. Not sure where I'm going to build that just yet, but I'm guessing probably here. I can just buy it out. I think I'll hold off on buying it out. We can just build it in one turn like that. That's the nice thing about having so much industry like we do. Ships become much easier to buy out. The next thing we want to definitely focus on, and we may even do it before we grab this, is getting medium class ships. Need to think about that. Trading companies are going to take a little while to get online. Medium class ships, we have plenty of both resources to grab them. I think the one that makes the most sense is the defensive one, So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in the queue for now. Alright. So that ends the need for running this law. We just recently got that. We've got another election coming up. Go ahead and grab that. And then what buildings do we need? That's going to be a good one next. Xeno-industrial infrastructure, not so good in this particular setup. But these ones are. Infinite supermarkets, probably fine. I can go ahead and buy out the starter buildings. I guess we'll throw those in the queue and we'll just let that grow. New event, plus 20 science on Spica, minus 20 industry. I think that makes sense to me, but let's take a look at... actually, no, that makes no sense to me. We definitely want the extra industry for 10 turns because this system just got started. If it were an already developed system, which already had a ton of industry, then I'd probably take the science because it would get us going faster on some of this other stuff. But that is not currently the case, so that's where we're at. Alright, the action has sort of slowed down at this point, but we're going to pick up some action here pretty soon. With this fleet, I have to decide whether it makes more sense to take out these pirates and try to colonize Kionis and just continue our expansion this direction, or if we go ahead and get aggressive with the Vultures. My gut is that it would be safer to hold off on being aggressive with the Vultures, take out the pirates, get these guys through approval on our side, and then colonize that. So now's kind of where we need to figure that out. Commercial frameworks. Alright. And we get a new hero. The amoeba hero looks cool. Let's see. Amoebas get approval. Food and industry, that's pretty good. Influence, that's also pretty good. Actually, she's gonna have the... yeah, this rousing orator is really strong. I think we're gonna take her. And then we'll assign her to one of our systems. In fact, I think it might be beneficial to go ahead and get her over here. She has a couple points that we can spend. Let's That's probably good. And then we'll help this system grow. Where are these guys at? We're gonna save our influence for some other things that I have plans for, particularly I like that. Let's take a look here. So you can see we're starting to lose some of those bonuses. We're down to 25 and that will fall off, which is going to drop a lot of our systems down below ecstatic. This will help keep it up longer, so let's go with that. I didn't get these guys dealt with the way I wanted to. Let's scout them out. Yeah, let's go take care of the pirates. That'll be easy. We shouldn't have any trouble taking them down. And this ship was going to be used to scout the extra curiosities we've unlocked. Alright. So we're just about ready to wrap up this video for today. I can't think of too much else that we need to get done this turn, so I guess we're going to go and end it. And before I do anything else this turn, I want to remember to disable turn timers for the next turn. Sowers. Event effects. This is just going to happen. Cool. So that's definitely...
Welcome to the Sophonoty. There are some among us who doubt your intellectual...
That's definitely keeping our approval high.
Do you really wish to push us to the breaking point?
Yeah, they're not happy about not being able to expand. That's really not my problem, though, is it? I think it makes sense to get another settler out here soon. So I'm going to go ahead and queue one up. We're going to send that settler up to Kionis. And actually, let's go ahead and upgrade the engines on that settler. And then we'll... There we go. That's a little better. Okay. I've got those to uncover. And we can send one out that way and send him back. Battle. We're going to retreat from that battle. Don't really want a war with them yet. They seem to have expanded quite a bit into this constellation, but we did find the Cravers. So that's that. There's that. Looks like there's a Craver world right here, actually, which we definitely, before we come and grab this, might want to consider how that might affect us. But I think this is probably a pretty good place to wrap this up here. Looks like
we can shatter time on a whim. You anger us at your peril.
Yeah, We'll tell them to halt attacks on us.
For your deeds, a special place in the void awaits you.
This is going to give us extra manpower generation per turn, which is good. Which we're going to need. And notice our manpower generation is pretty high at the moment since we're not actually pulling a bunch of manpower to fill our fleets up. And so we're going to go ahead and move into the final turn of this video. And this should be no turn timers, which is good. So it'll give me a chance to wrap things up. So we got a new settler. This effect has now ended, which has put us at a much more negative dust output than we were a few moments ago. I'm gonna not encourage the pacifists anymore. I don't really want the pacifists in charge. We need to keep the industrialists in charge, so we're gonna go ahead and pick that for now. And we found Ariga, which happens to be a Craver world. Go figure. My patrol can't do anything this turn, but this fleet can. So the first thing we're going to do is scout these curiosities. The second thing we're going to do is blockade this system. And let's see, they have 750 manpower on this system. We're only reducing manpower by 15 a turn. That is not very good. It's going to take a long time. However, what is the total manpower on our fleet? I can't quite see that. Can I see it here? Does it tell me 902? So we have 902 manpower to their 750. I think that's probably enough to take them out. What we're going to do in order to make sure that that is the case is we are going to go ahead and upgrade armor. Can we do this? We cannot. We don't have any antimatter. But we are going to go ahead and spend 250 manpower to convert our entire fighting force to tanks. Since they don't use tanks typically, we should have no problem wiping them out. And so this is one of the few situations where I think running Blitz actually makes sense. So let's talk about why running Blitz is going to make sense here. Currently, I have over 900 total manpower on this fleet. My current deployment limit is 600. However, I can increase that by 30% when running Blitz, which puts me at, I think, 780. So another 180 of these troops will actually participate in the fight. That 180 troops is going to have more damage output than the 400 to 800 from preemptive bombing. And the fact that we are tanks means that, yes, we have lower percent health, but our health is still much higher per unit than the invading or the defending ground troops, the infantry. So we're still going to survive better than them, even with the health hit. And we're going to provide more damage than we already do, which is quite significant. So I think this is the way to go. Since we're not on a timer, I am going to go ahead and watch this one just for fun. A good way to wrap up the video. And we'll see how well we do with this Blitz attack. So we should have something like 60 tanks. Attacks, and there we go. Now the nice thing about fighting pirates is they do not get the opportunity to conscript. So whatever they have is what they have. So we had 750 units participate in the battle. We lost a little over 120 units of manpower. They had 500 and they lost 340. So if we can continue to do 340, we should wipe them out in no time. The total amount of manpower that they have left is just over 400 with their reserve troops. And so we should have no problem wiping them out in about 2 turns. Maybe 3, but we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and continue that assault. Hopefully we don't lose too many more of our troops so we can use them for something else. But that will get rid of that pirate system and will allow my settler to safely traverse this territory. We should also be getting close to, next turn we'll cross the border with them on this particular thing, which will give us the chance to run a quest for these guys. And then we may have 2 more systems added to our total in the next 10 turns or so. So that's where we're at. I hope you guys are enjoying the video, and we will continue this one. I like the way that the turn timers are keeping me on pace. I've noticed several times where I start rambling and the turn just ends on me, which is kind of frustrating, but it also is good because it keeps the video moving along, keeps the turns moving along. So I'm just going to have to learn to play a little bit more quickly at times, but that's fine. That's what I excuse me, that's what I wanted when I implemented the turn timers. So until next time, this has been the Nose Plays, and have a great day.